Welcome, everybody. Oh, Jesse even turned on our video. That makes me happy. Hey, welcome. This is Joy Bowen. Welcome to our Rising Phoenix team call. It is May 26th. Oh my gosh, next week it is going to be June. Like, what is happening to this year? It's almost half over. Does that freak anyone else out but me? Or is it just me that sits there and says, wait a minute, wait, we're halfway through. But you know what? Halfway is a good point in the year to evaluate like how you are doing. How's your momentum? What do you need to change in order to hit your goals? And if you don't have goals, it's a great time to make some goals, because if we don't have something that we are aiming at, you guys, then we never get there. So it is imperative that you have goals with deadlines that you are working towards. So now that we're heading into June, this is a great halfway point to ask yourself, how do I want to end 2020? We have incredible momentum as an organization. So how do you want to leverage that for your own personal business? Where do you want to be on New Year's Eve with your coaching biz? But before we dive into some stuff, we are going to talk about, oh my gosh, the question that everybody always asks themselves, which is like, what in the heck am I going to post today, right? But before we dive into the content, I saw a couple nods of the head like, yes, please help me. Let's celebrate wins. I'd love 3 people to unmute themselves and share a win from this month or this week. Like, let's celebrate the good. So who wants to go first and be brave?
Hey, Joy, I don't think you can see me, but I can go first if you'd like.
That'd be great.
Yeah, so we had, oh my gosh, I've had a couple of new coaches, and one of them just started the past couple of weeks. Her name's Angela, and I don't know if she's going to hop on tonight, but she's like such a go-getter, and we had a hard time connecting because she's in the health industry, and I get that. But when I connected with her and I said, hey, just let me know. I know we can't talk, but let me know what program you're doing, and did you get your package yet? You know, the typical, checking in. And she said, oh yeah, I've lost 12 pounds, but I don't even have my package yet, but I'm loving, she had done 21-day fix and she was starting MM100. And I was like, love it. Like, that's such a great, for me, that's such a great, indicator that people are ready to make changes. And I honestly feel like she's just going to love this. So
that's so cool. That's so cool. I hope she gets on the call tonight. That's awesome. Way to go, Angela. Yeah. Who else has something to celebrate?
I'll celebrate something.
Do it.
They're both on this freaking call. So I've got 2 coaches who have just like hit some major traction, and I guess there's self-confidence, but Kelly Holacek and Jesse have been like inviting people consistently and like posting consistently. So like, I know Jesse this week has some big goals for herself, and like just the back and forth between my messages between both of them, like my soul's on fire for them because they're both finding traction and confidence, and it makes me so effing proud because they're just wonderful, wonderful people, and I love seeing them grow in their confidence. So that's my big hell yeah for the week.
I love it. Yeah, this is a business of duplication, you guys. And so when we see other people take their first steps, I tell you, there is nothing better than seeing people take those steps and celebrating them. It's way better than celebrating anything that we achieve on our own. Who else wants to celebrate something? We need one more. I will sit here all night until somebody
Okay, I'll go.
Thank you.
So I'm halfway to Emerald, and I just got information back from I say acquaintance. I met her at a concert, and like we follow each other on Facebook, so I feel like I've known her like all these years, even though I really haven't seen her since then. But we're setting up a call tomorrow night and I'm feeling good. So my fingers are crossed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Tomorrow night is the deadline. For those of you who don't know, Ashley's been pushing like crazy. I am so very proud of you. She like jumped in and like is just going for it. Tomorrow night is the deadline to achieve Emerald. Okay. So if you are not an Emerald coach and you want to take advantage and be a part of the free customer lead program in June, you have to be a qualified Emerald coach in May. So that means tomorrow night, midnight Eastern, is the deadline for you to have your 2 coaches enrolled in your organization. That's all Emerald is 2 coaches with 50 PV in your organization, 1 on the left leg, 1 on the right leg. And then what's the 31st? Is it Sunday? Sunday. Yes, that is the last day for you to achieve Success Club. Now, when you are enrolling your 2 people for your Emerald status, make sure that they enroll with a challenge pack. I know sometimes it's very tempting to be like, oh, I'll just enroll my spouse or my mom will enroll with a, coach application fee and pay the $40. Don't do that, because the challenge pack is going to give you 2 Success Club points. So that helps you get to that Success Club goal. You're going to get a commission back. Plus you can order, like if you have Shakeology coming out of your primary business center and your spouse, enrolls with the performance pack, then you can get your Energize and stuff through your spouse account. So just want to make sure everyone knows that. Okay. Make sure that if your spouse enrolls, not you enroll your spouse, if your spouse enrolls, make sure that they do it with a challenge pack. I'm cheering for you every single minute of the day, and I know you're going to hit it. I just know it. So make sure you have a couple of backup, plans that you're working at the same time as this friend, and just believe it and achieve it, and you can do it. I know you can. Okay. So tonight, we've been talking about, social media strategies all month long, and I wanted to just kind of break some things down into something that was very, very simple. How many people like simple? Super simple. That I learned from Bob Heilig. So I'm going to pass along some information that I've been learning from him in his leadership development group. He has a podcast that is excellent. So if you don't know who Bob Heilig is, go check out his resources. They're amazing, and his podcast is free. And so anyway, anyone feel overwhelmed when you try to figure out what to post or like what story to say? I mean, I feel like maybe this could be like one of the most overwhelming things, which is really hilarious because it's just making a post, right? But yet we spend so much time scrolling the feed or stalking that top coach, trying to find the inspiration or the magic words to say. And the truth really is, I mean, am I the only one who's done that? Like, y'all have done that, right? The truth really is, like, do you ever like find that you just waste so much time scrolling, trying to find all of that inspiration, and then you're like, man, I got nothing to say. Making sure that I can put the chat up here. So I really feel like content creation, we probably put a little bit too much pressure on ourselves, and it really should be something that's super fun in our business. And we spend far too much time on social media instead of using social media as a tool for our business, if that makes any sense. So if you're here on this call, you guys, like, social media is your storefront. It is no longer that pastime or that fun thing. It is something that is a business tool. And if we're just spending a ton of time scrolling and, checking out what other people are posting, or just trying to like rack our brains for the perfect post, we're missing the point about what is going to attract people to us. So tonight, I want to remove the overwhelm from the equation, because overwhelm really comes from not having a plan or knowing where to start. And so our solution for that is typically to just default to one thing, and that is posting about our products. Like, if you feel that you have run out of stuff to talk about, it is probably because you are a one-hit wonder on your Facebook wall. So a little way that you can do a self-audit is to go back on your wall and kind of look at the last, 5 to 10 posts and see how many of those are about, you know, Beachbody specific, whether it be Shakeology or Energize or your workout or whatever. Like, how many of those posts are just about our products and what we do? There's a way that we can share our story and sprinkle in an underlying tone, because I really feel like what we do, it applies like so much to all aspects of our life, right? Especially if we're, you know, growing in our personal development, that's going to have impact in all of our relationships, in our faith development. So I feel like, you know, at some level, if we're doing it right, we're sharing about other aspects of our life that then kind of give a slight nod to this amazing opportunity, which is actually a personal development program with a compensation plan, right? So we want to show people our self-growth and the other aspects of our life that are so much more than just drinking a shake or pressing play. So why is this topic important to pay attention to? Hello, OB, why are you chirping? Because relationships on social media are built through consistency. There's something super attractive about watching someone show up day in and day out. And ultimately, like when we invite someone to go on this journey with us, we're asking them to enter in a relationship. And honestly, they want to know if we're going to be here a week from now, or a month from now, or a year from now. In some cases lately, I've had people reach out to me that I've started talking to 5 years ago, and they just now are ready to jump in. And I really feel like that's, at the end of the day, people want to know if they can depend on you, because we're not transactional, we're transformational, right? In what we do. And so they give a little piece of their life to us when they join into our group. It's not like we're selling them a widget. We are entering into a daily relationship with them. And I think one of the most important things you can demonstrate as a coach on your social media is that you're rock solid consistent. Now, that doesn't mean necessarily that every day you're going to show up and post about your workout or your Shakeology, although that is going to be a main, you know, theme of what we do, and we'll talk about that. But I really feel like if you are struggling with what to post, it's probably because you're not yet sharing some of these other aspects of your life. And we're going to talk about why that's important, because the secret to success is really putting more of you, not Beachbody, but you, and more of your life out there. And it's, what it does is it speeds up the relationship building process. So if people want to do business with you, they have to know, like, and trust you. Hang on a second. Dealing with the dog. They have to know, like, and trust you, which means they have to like know more about you than just that you do your workout at 6:15 every morning. They need to have points of commonality. In other words, like, the more things you can share about your life, whether that be your favorite hairstyling product, or your favorite jewelry line, or your obsession with dogs, you begin to build these points of commonality with people. In other words, they're like, oh, Andrea loves yoga. I love yoga. You know, I kind of need to do some cross training. I'm going to totally like enroll with Andrea because we share a love for yoga. But it could be other things too. It could be like, you know, you love going to the beach. I love going to the beach. Like, I want to be in your group because we love going to the beach. It's those points of commonality where people then begin to like really begin to develop that know and like with you, that builds that trust, that makes them want to take the next step with you. So before we dive into how to make it easy and really simplify and never run out of content to share, there are a couple obstacles that we need to address, because if we don't, I guarantee you all will run into these walls, because I run into them almost every day. In fact, just today, Andrew and I, as we were prepping for this call, we're like, oh my gosh, like curse of knowledge, imposter syndrome, like how many more times can these come up in our life? So these are the two potential obstacles that really need to be on our radar so that we can avoid them. And the curse of knowledge is really this idea that we take for granted things that we know, because we assume that everyone already knows it, right? The first thing that happened to me when I was invited to do the national wake up call is like, oh gosh, like, I don't know if I really have anything new to say. Like, you probably already know this and blah, blah, blah. But the thing really is that no one is ever going to be upset by a fresh reminder of something that they know is a good principle, because common knowledge isn't necessarily common practice. And so your fresh take on a principle or a spin or like something that happened to you, or maybe it's just a wisdom, a nugget of wisdom that you learned in your personal development, or maybe it's a nutritional fact that blew you away, like broccoli, you know, has magical powers to fight cancer. Like, just because you think it's common knowledge doesn't mean that it's not valuable in sharing. It still is absolutely valuable in sharing. You know what actually is the truth is that people probably don't know it at all. Or if they knew it, they forgot about it, and they probably need reminding. Because again, common knowledge isn't common practice. So there isn't anything too small about any area of your life that isn't worth sharing. It is all worth sharing. And once you realize that, you know, like, oh gosh, our book that we were reading for a better part of this beginning of the year with many of our new coaches, called The Slight Edge. These are, when I read that book, you guys, like it was the curse of knowledge. I was like, oh gosh, you know, like I've read so many books like this, and everyone knows that consistency is the critical key to success. And, you know, like you can be successful as long as you show up every single day. It doesn't have to be these extraordinary amounts of time. I was so convinced that this book wasn't going to really impact anyone that I was very hesitant to use it in our coach development group. In the first group that we had, I had coaches showing up who were like, this is life-changing information for me. Oh my gosh, I cannot even believe, like, this is a game changer for my life. And I'm like, the curse of knowledge. Like, here I thought it was like so common knowledge for everyone to know these principles, but it's not. And even if it is, common knowledge isn't common practice. So the boys are back from getting their hair cut. It's a big day in the Bowen house. COVID hair be gone. So, you know, the best thing you can do to overcome the curse of knowledge is to remind yourself that all information, all stories, all experiences are worth telling. And don't slide into the temptation of holding back something just because you think everybody already knows it. The imposter syndrome basically is this feeling that you haven't earned your success, or that you're a fraud or imposter, and that you have this sincere fear of being exposed as a fraud. Anyone ever feel that way? It's so common. The imposter syndrome is this psychological event that, like, we all just kind of like second guess how qualified we are to talk about anything. But here's the truth about the imposter syndrome, whether it comes to your fitness side or your personal development side or the business side, your lack of results has nothing to do with your ability to add value and help someone else get results. In other words, and this is really important to understand from a business perspective, nobody is going to care what kind of results you have today as a coach for them to see the opportunity and realize what they can do with the opportunity. So I don't care if you're a brand new baby coach, that same opportunity, when presented to the right person, they will look at what that is and they will be able to assess their abilities. They're not going to like filter it through your abilities at all, ever. So your results have nothing to do with someone else's decision to join you in this business. Your results have nothing to do with your ability to add value and direct someone else to their first or next step. They're going to get results based on their efforts, their diligence, their skill, right? It has nothing to do with you. You are just introducing them to the same opportunity. Okay, so now that we've busted through those myths, okay, I want you to think about content in the frame of storylines. So I've been a coach now for almost 6 years, and I feel like I've gone through every content strategy prep thing there is under the sun. I've done like the rainbow color wheel and write all the things that make you unique that you're passionate about. I've done marketing calendars, and I've done thematic days like, Never Miss Monday, Transformation Tuesday, Word Wednesday, like whatever. I've done all of that. And storylines, which Bob presented to us, feels the most authentic to me. And here's why. I think for some of us, myself, I should just say for myself, taking like that color wheel, like if you've ever seen the chart I'm talking about, it's like a pie wheel of maybe 12 things or something, and it's like all color wheel, and you're supposed to write like something that makes you unique in each of the slices, right? And I'm sitting there like, oh my gosh, like I'm not a hobby person. Like, I mean, if someone has to tell me like to write down like 10 things that I'm passionate about, it's going to be like my dog, my kids, coaching, like I'm going to run out of things. I don't feel very interesting, I guess is what I'm trying to say, when I feel pressure to like write down all the things. But with storylines, you're going to have more freedom to see that actually there are more things that are unique to you than meets the eye. So the story you are telling is far more than a sweaty selfie. So here's step one. And over time, you're going to probably have more than 3 storylines, but 3 is a great place to start for a newer coach. And so I just want you to create 3 storylines. Like, what are 3 areas that you are passionate about? So for example, it could be obviously with the Beachbody angle, health and fitness. Maybe you're a crafty person. Are there crafty people here on the team? Because I am not crafty, but maybe you are crafty, and I would find that, fascinating, because I'm not crafty. So if you could make that like simple for me, and I could look like a Martha Stewart without having to feel like pain of being a Martha Stewart, I would be interested in that. But maybe you love crafting, and maybe family is important to you, or maybe it's health and fitness, and it's faith because you are a leader in your church and your family. I just want 3 overarching storylines for you guys, okay? And then we're gonna bust out a skill that many of us were taught in 7th grade English class. And that is this idea of clustering. Now, I know you're gonna be tempted to skip this part. Don't. I want you to brainstorm these content circles, or cluster circles, if you will, of things that also have to do with that central storyline. So in this example, we have health and fitness. So what are some subtopics that relate to health and fitness? Well, clearly exercise, our workouts, meal planning, mindset, recipes, your transformation story. And I want to pause on that for a second, because if you feel that you are running out of stories to tell, the fastest way to rectify that is to start a brand new program and go through it from start to finish with, wait for it, y'all aren't going to like me for saying this, with a before and after photo, along with measurements that you can share to say, I'm down 10 inches after this program. Like, that is the most powerful way for you to start writing a brand new story for your business and for your life. So if you haven't gone like from start to finish, and you don't have a recent transformation photo in the last 6 months, it's time. We can't keep recycling the same, after photo time and time again. We have to show that we're evolving. Even Danielle Natoni, who, if you've seen Danielle Natoni, she's a fitness instructor. She has a rockin' bod. She doesn't really have anything to transform anymore, you guys. Like, she has reached the peak of physical fitness, and yet she still does every program from start to finish and shares a before and after program or before and after photo to show I'm still rocking it. So even when we've arrived at our ultimate physical whatever, like I still think there's more in us to tell a story of mental transformation more than physical transformation. But you can still share the story of how that program challenged you. I mean, if you've done 10 rounds, that was a mental challenge like crazy, right? So the fastest way for you to stop wondering what to talk about, because if you're really challenging yourself physically and mentally and emotionally, and you're making that commitment, you're not just going to talk about the workout or the weight loss. You're going to talk about the mental transformation you had in the process of completing it. And that is, that's a very high value kind of story to tell. So if you haven't started a program and finished it in the last 6 months, do it now. I'm doing the Ultimate Reset. I decided to start on Thursday. I was going to start today. I got through breakfast without coffee because you can't have coffee or mom crack. Can't have Energize. So I got through breakfast. I sat down to do some work and I'm like, holy bananas. This was the wrong timing because I have like a call with Sandy tomorrow for the National Wake Up Call stuff. I had the prep for this call tonight and I thought, all right, I gotta go through the caffeine detox like after. So Thursday's gonna be the day. But you know what? I was able to share on my stories like, oh, we're on hold and here's why. And that's okay. Like that's part of the journey, is just showing that we're not perfect, and that we can make those decisions that are best for us. So I want you to do this kind of clustering for each of your 3 storylines. And I want you to try to come up with like 4 or 5 subtopics for each storyline, okay? And then, y'all, this is going to change my life forever, and I hope it changes yours. We're going to organize, and I'm going to teach you how to repurpose content. I know, Andrea just kind of got excited by looking at that. She's like, what is that? I'm going to like show you the real deal here in a second, not just a screenshot. Everyone has their own system, right? And Bob reminded me of this amazing resource called Trello. I had used it early on in my coaching business, but I just, haven't been using it. But now I was saving some of my social media posts to just like a Google Doc that I would have to scroll through, and it was a headache, and I didn't like visiting it. I couldn't organize it. Let me show you what this has done. So Trello is free, and what you can do, so let's say your first storyline is health and fitness, and let's say you have none of these subtopics underneath here, but you can do your brainstorming here. So you're like, oh, nutrition, supplements, right? So now I know I could think of something to talk about when it comes to nutrition or mindset, right? So I can do my clustering right here on Trello. But what I've done in addition to this is I've saved post content. So this is an actual post that I wrote, that I loved, that I felt represented my voice. And so I can refer back to this and find inspiration from it and repurpose it. Because here's the thing I really want you guys to understand. Some of you think that you have to share original content all the time, and that's not true either. I had a person today who didn't even know I was a Beachbody coach. That's pretty strange, right? After almost 6 years, she did not even know I was a Beachbody coach. You are going to be repeating elements of your story over and over and over again. And so if you want to take your social media posts, the things that you worked, somewhat, you gave some time to it or whatever, you can save them and categorize them. And then in 3 to 6 months time, you can use it again with a new photo. No one's going to know. And by the way, like, you're assuming that everyone's reading your posts, and that's not true either. They're not seeing every single post of yours. So can you imagine the bank of content you would have a year from now if you just took an extra second to organize and put up the system to repurpose it, 3 to 6 months from now, would that save you a whole ton of time in the future? Oh, bananas, yeah. So Trello is free. It is very self-explanatory, and there are a ton of YouTube videos out there. You could also use a system in Evernote. You could use Google Drive. You could figure out you don't have to use Trello. I just feel like visually this tells me, so my 4 storylines, and I'm beginning to capture like some ask your audience kind of question, to up engagement. And then we have to start sharing. So we've done the work of like, okay, these are my main storylines. These are kind of my subtopics, right? So like under my family, I've got things like our faith and raising boys and being an almost empty nester and, being the wife of someone who travels. So like our family home has so much more than just like family. You know what I mean? It's like all these subtopics of things that we experience in our house. So once you get your brainstorming done, there are 2 ways to approach presenting your content. One is going to be good for a minority of people on our team, and that is the expert approach. Because the expert approach, and again, these 2 strategies, you might only apply the expert approach to like one of your storylines, but not the other 2. So for example, I'm going to pick on Andrea again. She is a subject matter expert in health and wellness, especially yoga. So she could present a storyline from the expert viewpoint, right? Because she has knowledge and wisdom and authority in that area to share. However, let's say she wants to is it donkeys you have? I forget. Yeah, raising donkeys. Let's say that's a storyline. She's not an expert. I know, can you believe it? She's not an expert. So, but she's learning about how to care for donkeys. So like she might use the learning out loud with the donkeys, which is like the anti-expert approach. It's just like, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I got donkeys as a gift and I'm learning how to take care of them. Watch me learn, raising a farm, whatever it is. Like, so you might not be an expert in all of your storylines. It might only be one. Sue, she could take an expert approach from the storyline of faith because she's a pastor. She has so much wisdom and knowledge. She might be learning out loud in a storyline of nutrition. Does that make sense? So the expert approach is really used for something you have a ton of experience with. Maybe you're certified or credentialed. Maybe you are a health professional or you're a personal trainer or instructor. And here's the tip for if you are going to go the expert approach is that you have to share tons of stories, right? So like, I love how Andrea shows up and shares her expertise and stories of working with Max, right? Like that is so engaging and endearing. And it doesn't become unrelatable, right? It's not just information. It's now built in the fabric of relationship with who she's helping. Does that make sense? So if you're ever going to use the expert approach, try to use a ton of stories because otherwise you can be very like lectury and that can become unrelatable. Learning out loud is what 95% of us are going to do every single day. Okay. And that is the anti-expert approach. Like, I'm not an expert. I am just learning. But guess what I learned? Broccoli, when it combines with your saliva, creates sulforaphane, which fights cancer. And that's pretty amazing. So eat your broccoli. Okay? That's learning out loud. Or, oh my gosh, bananas, guess what I read in my book today? I can't believe this nugget really stuck out with me. So learning out loud is really giving you permission just to be teachable, like to share what you're learning. And this is actually the most powerful way to share content because it demonstrates humility and vulnerability. And it's actually far more relatable than the expert approach because it's demonstrating that character that everybody wants, which is that you are open to personal growth. And everyone longs for that in their life at the end of the day. Okay? You're not going to like me at all, but I don't care. So your homework before Friday, yes, I would prefer it to be tomorrow. But in fact, I really do want it to be tomorrow because I don't want you to sit and spin on this and like overthink it. But I want you to go live, like Facebook Live, people. Facebook Live, and I want you to learn out loud with your circle. It can be 3 to 5 minutes. It can be super short. It can be a recipe. It can be you cooking in your kitchen. It can be something that you read in your personal development. It can be something about this call, or just the mere fact that you were challenged to go live and how that stretched you to actually push the button and feel like you're pitting out and you're sweating and like you can't even believe it, but you're doing it anyway because you know that growth happens when you get uncomfortable and you're stretched. Like that could be the live right there. You don't have to overcomplicate it, okay? You don't have to be an expert and share some like woohoo of wisdom. You can just be authentically you, okay? You can just tell them, I was challenged to go live this week and I feel like I'm gonna vomit, but I just pushed the button and here we are. And that's it. So I want you to go live and learn out loud with your people. I think you will be so blown away by the support that you get when you just show up authentically as yourself and you stop looking for the perfect words to say and realize that your story is enough. And if you are growing in this journey, like you will never run out of things to say. That's the beautiful part about what we do, is that we are always learning something new. We're always trying something new or meeting someone new or whatever it is, you guys, like we should never run out of content. But if you like start organizing your thoughts a little bit before just kind of staring at a blank, post box, you're going to be able to recycle content. You're going to remind yourself of all these subtopics that you are passionate about, that you could talk about forever. Like personal development stuff, I could talk about forever. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, it's not hard. I could pick up a book, find a nugget, apply it to my life, or challenge like someone else to take something out of it. Like, it's not hard. So what are those 3 things that you could talk about forever? It might be your dog, and that's good. Like, it doesn't have to be something so like noble. It can be whatever just brings you joy. Maybe you love antiquing and you want to like talk about how you spot those antique finds and what you do, oh, hi Poppy. So don't overcomplicate it. And yes, Andrea says, I love that it allows people to see our vulnerability. Okay, so that is all I have for you. It's just like very simple 3 storyline strategies. I want you to like brainstorm the subtopics, get 3 to 5 for each of your main storylines. And then I want you to go live tomorrow and just learn out loud. I know you all are going to vomit, but that's okay. We're all going to cheer each other on and it's going to be amazing. Amazing. Okay. So with that, I would love 3 people to share a nugget, a takeaway, or something that they were encouraged by tonight or convicted by. Yes.
I'll share. I have never done Facebook Live. And I think I want to get on and talk about the book that I'm reading, like The Silencing Your Mean Girl, just because that's something I struggled with. So I feel really encouraged to talk about that, and maybe somebody else, a lot of people I feel like can relate to that. So I think that's what I want to do, and
I love it.
I don't get sick.
I love it. I love it. Everybody loves a good book referral, and that one's a great one.
That's probably one of my things. Like, I like to read, so I think that would be one of my passions that I could focus on.
Oh yeah, you could be like Cliff Notes for personal development. You could get on and talk about like all the wonderful things you're learning, and people will be like, oh my gosh, because like a majority of people don't read, sadly. So you can share all that wisdom, and that's of huge value. Okay, who else?
Hi Joy.
Hi.
I like the planning within the planning. So like coming up with your storylines and then coming up with a plan based on your storylines. Because I'm always like, yeah, I'm gonna talk about my family, but then I only blast my kids all the time, and I think there's so much more. There is so much more to it, and I don't think I ever thought about that. I'm like, oh yeah, my family, I'm a wife and a mom, but kind of digging in deeper, which is more relatable. Hi, Obi. You just messaged me.
He was quiet while it was muted, and then as soon as I unmuted, he was back again. Yeah. You know what this process helps us do? It helps us move from conscious competence, meaning that we have a plan and we feel confident in okay, I'm going to talk about these 3 main things, and it's going to grow over time. So imagine if you had 5 storylines. Well, now you've got your Monday through Friday posting schedule, and then the weekends become whatever you want to talk about, and Sunday you do a call to action. So it's instead of it feeling boxed in, because that was the problem with me and a marketing calendar. I felt very boxed in, and I was like, well, I don't want to talk about that today. I don't feel like talking about that today. I want to talk about this. So can you imagine just having the fluidity to represent, but then having that structure, to make sure you're hitting all those notes, I think is pretty amazing. One more.
Joy.
Yeah.
Anyways, I just love the fact that Joy pushes us. And, I think for me, literally, since I decided to be intentionally doing the coaching thing since beginning of this year, just really practicing getting out of your comfort zone, that helps us to grow and that helps us to just really get out there. So, even just this past several months, I have learned so much from Joy just by observing what she's been doing. Literally, I didn't even know you could schedule things on Facebook to, post it at certain times. I'm like, you could do that, So I really actually started doing that because I get so busy during the day with my clients and just my other responsibilities. So literally just this past weekend, I just kind of went ahead and planned it out and scheduled it out for the whole week, which just relieved me so much stress, right? But I really love the fact that you push us to go on live. I have gone on live, actually, at least with my private group. So I've been really trying to put myself out there. And, one thing I've really learned is that, you got to be you. And we talk about this all the time. And whenever we get on our training, you just got to be you because there's nobody else like you. And you're going to be able to give something to this world that nobody else can. So I just love the fact that you told us to do the live thing again, because it's going to really help us to grow.
Yes, it is.
I think the more you do it, you just become more natural at it, because I think that was my biggest thing. First time when I tried, I'm like, no way. I like to talk to people, directly. I'm just talking to a camera, and my daughter's like, Mom, you are talking to people. But the more you just do it, you just kind of get natural at it. So I just wanted to really say thank you for just pushing us to, encouraging us to just get out of our comfort zone to help us to grow and mature as coaches. So I just wanted to say thank you.
You're welcome. Well, the really important thing that I don't want anyone to miss is that consistency on our social platforms, especially on Facebook, is so critical, not only for that know, like, and trust factor, but if you're not posting every single day, you're not allowing the algorithm to even help you. You've got to be consistent so that the algorithm behind Facebook can actually start to help you get your post out there. And I get it, there's nothing more frustrating than working on a post and not having the response that you were hoping for, you know, like you have like 3 likes or whatever. Like it happens to all of us, and it's not necessarily a post. It could be the time of day. It could be that your security settings were shut down. I feel like security police for like all the team. I see all of your posts and I'm like, you know, open it up to public. So there are a gazillion things that could be working against you. Don't over evaluate any one post. Just know, like, you got to just practice like flexing that storytelling muscle, and you do that by reps. And some of your stories are going to hit really strong and others aren't going to hit, and that's okay. Your audience kind of tells you what they want more of, you know what I mean? So know that we all, even myself, we have posts that we put out there that get 0. And I delete it. I delete it and I start over and I post something different. You know, it's the miracle of you know, social media. If we don't like it, we can delete it. It's fine. Okay. By the way, France goes live midnight tonight, our time in Central Land, 7 a.m. Paris time. So that's pretty exciting. I know we will have a few new additions to our team from that amazing country. So be on the lookout and give them a warm welcome. Anything or any questions that I can answer in our last few minutes together? All right. I love you guys. Don't overcomplicate it. Just share your voice. You are enough. You don't need to copy or borrow words or find inspiration from anyone else. You are inspiring enough, and people want to hear from you. And I'll tell you what, if you can't find 3 storylines, that means you're not being vulnerable enough with what you're sharing online.
Joy, I just wanted to piggyback on that and say, like, the most feedback that I get is like the idiocracy, I think that's the word, of the crap, like new leaves on my fiddle leaf fig. Like, people will be like, oh my God, that was so ridiculous. Like, they look for the crazy plant mom posts. Like, so just your daily life and being consistent with things that you're doing are what people look forward to. So you may think that it's ridiculous and silly, but it really does make someone else's day. So don't overthink it. Just be, everybody on here is interesting and funny and quirky. And I know specifically my people are freaking funny. So like, just be authentically you and don't overthink it, and you can't go wrong because everyone's amazing.
Yeah. Truth, truth, truth. All right. I love y'all. Have a great night, and I will see you on the flip side. Bye, y'all.
Bye.